If you're listening to this, you might be going through something very painful. Being in a relationship, or recently leaving one, that's toxic, emotionally draining, or outright abusive. Perhaps you feel like you're walking on eggshells around this person. They might put you down with harsh words or constant criticism. Maybe they manipulate you, twisting situations so everything is your fault, making you doubt your own memory or sanity. A tactic known as gaslighting. They might explode in anger or give you the silent treatment as punishment. They could be extremely controlling, monitoring where you go, who you talk to, how you dress or spend money. In some cases, they might outright call you names, shout at you, or belittle you in front of others. These behaviors and feelings are signs of a toxic or abusive dynamic. It could be a partner or spouse, but it might also be a parent, sibling, friend, or even a boss. The common thread is the relationship consistently makes you feel worse about yourself and fearful or exhausted trying to please the other person. And there's a pattern of disrespect or harm. First, I want to say, I'm so sorry you're experiencing this. You do not deserve to be treated this way. No one does. And second, please know you're not alone. Many people have endured such relationships and found a way to heal and build happier lives. It's not easy, but it's possible, and you have strength within you, even if it's been buried, to get through this. This episode will be like a compassionate guide by your side. We'll start by clearly identifying toxic behavior patterns so you can affirm that you're not imagining things. What's happening is real and not okay. We'll then draw on Stoic principles to help you maintain your inner stability and not internalize the cruel words or behavior. We'll integrate Buddhist, Taoist perspectives about letting go of other people's negativity and practicing compassion, including for yourself. We'll also cover very practical things: how to set boundaries, how to safely stand up for yourself, and importantly, how to seek support, because dealing with this alone is incredibly hard, and you shouldn't have to. I will also gently address the possibility of leaving the relationship if it's severely abusive or not improving. I know that's a complex and personal decision with many factors: love, finances, children, fear of the unknown. There's no judgment here. Whether you are not ready to leave, or you left and feel guilty, or you're in the process of leaving, this episode aims to support you wherever you are in this journey. We'll also talk about healing, rebuilding your self-esteem that may have been shattered, and learning to trust yourself again after all the gaslighting or blame. This topic is heavy, but my tone will remain caring and encouraging. There is hope, truly. The fact that you're seeking guidance means some part of you knows the situation isn't right and desires change. That's a powerful realization. As we proceed, keep in mind, if at any point you feel in immediate danger or like you might harm yourself out of despair, please reach out to emergency services or a crisis line. Your safety is paramount. All right, let's shine some light into the darkness of toxic relationships and explore a path forward. Recognizing toxic and abusive behavior. Sometimes, when you're in the thick of a toxic relationship, you second-guess yourself. Is it really that bad? They're not always mean. Maybe I'm overreacting or too sensitive. Abusers often cycle between hurtful behavior and being apologetic or sweet. This is part of the abuse cycle. tension builds, then an incident, then a honeymoon phase. That can confuse you and keep you hooked, hoping maybe this time things will stay good. Let's clarify what emotional, verbal abuse and toxicity look like so you can validate your experiences. Constant criticism or belittling. They rarely have a kind word for you anymore. Instead, they point out your flaws, mock your interests, or call you names. You're so stupid. No one else would ever want you. You're too sensitive, etc. Over time, this erodes your self-worth. Criticism in healthy doses can be constructive, but in a toxic relationship, it's aimed to hurt and dominate, not help. Yelling, swearing, intimidation. Do they frequently yell at you, explode in rage, or use a menacing tone that makes you feel afraid? Maybe they punch walls or throw things when angry. That's intimidation. You should not have to live in fear of someone's temper. Even if they haven't hit you, the threat and emotional terror is a form of abuse. Gaslighting. This is a big one. Gaslighting is when someone denies your reality and makes you feel crazy. For example, you clearly remember them saying something hurtful, but they insist, "I never said that. You're imagining things." Or, "You're crazy. That never happened." Or they do something inappropriate, then say, "You're the one who's doing that," flipping the blame. Over time, you start doubting your memory or sanity. If you often feel confused about what's real, or find yourself recording events or saving texts just to prove to yourself you're not nuts, gaslighting is likely happening. Control and isolation. Toxic individuals often want to control who you see, what you do, how you spend money, etc. They might get jealous of you talking to other people, accuse you of cheating out of nowhere, or slowly isolate you from friends and family. Your friends don't really care about you like I do. Stop seeing them. Or they pick fights whenever you plan to go out, making it so stressful you stop trying. Financial control is also common. Maybe they take your income or limit your access to money so you feel you can't leave. These are serious red flags. Walking on eggshells. Do you constantly monitor your words and actions to avoid setting them off? That feeling that anything might trigger their anger or hurt, that's a sign of an unhealthy dynamic. In a healthy relationship, you can be yourself and make small mistakes without fear of major consequences or emotional explosions. Blame and no accountability. In a toxic relationship, everything is somehow your fault. They never genuinely apologize or take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they twist it. You made them angry. You're too demanding, so it's your fault they lied. You provoked them. This constant blame is unfair and part of keeping control, because if you believe it's all your fault, you'll keep trying to change you instead of questioning them. A phrase often heard, "If you hadn't done X, I wouldn't have had to Y." No, people are responsible for their own choices. Emotional roller coaster. One day they say they love you, the next they tear you down. You might feel extreme highs when they're kind or loving, and extreme lows when they hurt you. This can actually create a trauma bond, a kind of addiction to the cycle, because the relief love feels so good after the pain. It's similar to how intermittent rewards hook people, like gambling. Recognizing this pattern can help you realize why it's so hard to break free. But it's not because you're weak. It's because because the cycle is psychologically powerful. Fear of leaving or consequences. They might directly threaten you. I'll hurt myself if you leave, or you'll regret it if you ever try to divorce me, or I'll take the kids away. Or they imply you're nothing without them and won't survive on your own. These are tactics to maintain power. If direct threats of harm exist, that's very serious. Safety planning becomes crucial. If several of these resonate, you are indeed dealing with a toxic, abusive person. Accepting that is painful because you likely care about, maybe even love, this person or their family, which is complicated. You probably have good memories with them too. It's not black and white. That's why it's hard. However, acknowledging the reality that no matter the good times or good intentions, this person's behavior is hurting you and is not okay, is an important step. As Stoic philosopher Seneca noted, we must see things as they are without sugarcoating. He advised not to conceal faults or lie to ourselves about situations. This clarity will inform your next steps. Preserving your inner self. Stoic resilience. When someone constantly puts you down or manipulates you, it's easy to start believing their narrative, that you're worthless, stupid, at fault. Here's where Stoic philosophy can be a lifeline, reminding you of your own inherent dignity and the separation between you and their behavior. Epictetus, who himself was a slave and suffered physical abuse, his master broke his leg once, taught that while our body or external circumstances can be controlled or harmed by others, our mind, our will, our attitude can remain free if we choose. One of his famous analogies, you might chain my leg, but not even Zeus can chain my mind. In the context of abuse, they might call you names, restrict you outwardly, but they cannot truly define your worth or own your soul. They want you to think they can, but that's an illusion. Remind yourself, I am not who my abuser says I am. Their words reflect them, their insecurities, their anger, their warped view, not you. You are still the same capable, valuable person you were before these insults, just temporarily buried under their toxicity. Marcus Aurelius advised, reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. This doesn't mean the abuse isn't injuring you. It certainly does emotionally, but it suggests that if you can mentally reject their judgments, not take their poison into your heart as truth, you protect your inner self from deep injury. It's like putting on a raincoat in a storm. The rain, abuse, happens, but it doesn't soak into your skin as much. Stoicism on control. As I mentioned earlier, focus on what's in your power. You often cannot control an abuser's behavior. They will twist even your best efforts. You can't fix them by being better. Their abuse is not your fault. What you can control are steps you take for yourself. Setting boundaries, seeking help, responding calmly instead of reactively when safe to do so, and managing your own emotions. Stoics would say you can always control your choice to do the courageous or self-respecting thing, even if that's simply refusing to believe their lies about you. Boundaries as a Stoic choice. Setting boundaries might anger the toxic person, but it is within your right and control to decide what treatment you will or won't accept. For example, a boundary could be, I will not engage in conversations where I'm being shouted at or insulted. If you start yelling, I will step away. You can't control if they yell, but you can control removing yourself from that situation. A Stoic might think of it this way: you maintain your virtue, self-respect, calm, reason, by not participating in their cycle of rage or insults. Now, in some cases, you cannot physically leave the moment, like if violence is threatened. Sometimes appeasing temporarily is a strategy until you can get out safely. Use discernment and ensure safety. Stoicism doesn't mean foolishly provoking someone unstable by standing on principle at the wrong time. It means inwardly keeping your values and, when possible, outwardly asserting them. Self-blame often plagues victims. Maybe if I hadn't said that, they wouldn't have exploded. Stoicism unequivocally puts responsibility for actions on the actor. As Marcus said, the wrongdoer has done wrong to themselves by doing wrong. Meaning, the abuser stains their own soul by abusing. They are responsible for their behavior. Your imperfections or occasional mistakes do not cause someone to abuse you. Many people might get annoyed by a partner, but not call them horrible names or hit them. Those extreme reactions are the choice of the abuser. Remind yourself of that when you start to blame yourself. Stay anchored in your values. Identify what your values are: kindness, honesty, fairness, courage, etc. The toxic person likely violates these often. Use your values as a compass. For instance, you value respect, so you acknowledge that the relationship's dynamic is not aligned with your values, which you deserve. If you value kindness, note that you have been exceedingly kind, patient perhaps, but the other side of kindness is not enabling cruelty. Kindness to yourself matters too. If you have kids, perhaps you value their well-being highly. Seeing how the toxic environment affects them may strengthen your resolve to change things. Stoic thought, especially later interpreted by thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson, encourages self-reliance and trusting one's own integrity. Believe in your perception. If it feels wrong and hurtful, it is. Don't let gaslighting completely cloud your inner knowing. A Stoic might keep a journal. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was essentially his journal. You could too, privately, writing down events as they happen and how you feel. This can ground you in reality when the abuser tries to distort it, and it's a form of self-validation. I heard what I heard. I felt what I felt. Lastly, Stoicism also encourages seeking wisdom and counsel. Even Stoic philosophers learned from teachers and peers. For you, that might mean talking to a therapist, joining a support group for abuse survivors, or confiding in a friend. Getting an outside perspective can reinforce that yes, this is not okay, and you have support. It's not a Stoic virtue to suffer abuse in silence. Stoicism is about enduring hardship with resilience. Yes, but also about using practical wisdom to improve one's life and do what's right. And it's right to remove oneself from unjust harm, if possible. Finding strength and compassion. A spiritual outlook. Now let's incorporate a different angle: Buddhist and Taoist wisdom, which can help address the emotional turmoil, anger, hurt, hatred, or attachment that keeps you stuck in a toxic relationship. Self-compassion and worth. Buddhism emphasizes compassion for all beings, including yourself. You have likely been shown little compassion from your abuser. It's crucial to give some to yourself. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend who's going through this. You might tell that friend, "You don't deserve this treatment. You are worthy of love and respect." I'm so sorry you're enduring this. Try saying that to the mirror or writing it in a note to yourself. It can feel emotional because you're countering the negative narrative you've been fed. Remember the Buddha's saying, attributed. You, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. It's true. You deserve care, especially from yourself. Non-attachment, but not apathy. Buddhism talks about letting go of attachments that cause suffering. You might be deeply attached to the idea of this relationship, perhaps to the good times or the person's potential. I've seen their sweet side. I know they can be good. You might also have practical attachments like shared home, finances, children. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring or just abandon everything on a whim. It means loosening the grip of the idealized image or the hope that you can change them. Accepting impermanence and reality. The person you wish they were is not consistently who they are. The love you once had might not be the reality now. These are hard truths, but accepting them can actually reduce some of the suffering. Instead of, if only they'd change back to how they were, which keeps you emotionally stuck, practice. This is who they are showing themselves to be now, and that causes suffering. By acknowledging that, you free your mind to focus on what you need rather than expending all energy on trying to fix them. Non-attachment might also mean preparing yourself mentally for the possibility of leaving, even if you still love aspects of them. Recognizing that clinging to the relationship as it is might be more painful than letting it go. Compassion from a distance. It may sound odd, but some survivors find that adopting a compassion mindset, once they're safe or have distance, helps them release resentment and truly heal. This does not mean excusing the abuse. It means understanding that abusers are often deeply wounded or mentally unwell themselves, which in no way justifies their actions, but seeing it can help you realize it was never about you being not good enough. It was about their own darkness. For example, many abusers were abused themselves or have pathological needs for control due to their own fear. This perspective can shift personal anger to more of a detached pity or sorrow for them. Again, not to minimize what they did, but to help you emotionally disengage. As Buddhist teachings say, those who cause suffering are themselves suffering, or spiritually ignorant. The ultimate goal in Buddhism is to have compassion for all. But you can have compassion and still enforce boundaries. Compassion doesn't mean you stay or allow harm. You can wish an abuser healing or send them loving kindness from afar, while firmly protecting yourself. Letting go of anger. If you're out of the relationship or planning to leave, you might be carrying a lot of anger and bitterness, rightfully so. However, such emotions can continue to poison you. The Buddha likened holding on to anger to holding a hot coal intending to throw it. You burn yourself. In toxic situations, some anger is necessary. It can fuel action to protect yourself. But afterwards, for your own peace, you may want to work on releasing it. Techniques might include writing letters you never send, vent all your rage on paper, then destroy it, therapy to process trauma, or meditation focusing on your own healing rather than the abuser. Forgiveness, if it comes, is something you do for yourself, not for them. It doesn't mean forgetting or saying it was okay. It means you choose not to let the anger dominate your life anymore. That step can take time, and it's okay if you're not there yet. Boundaries and loving kindness. Buddhists often practice metta, loving kindness meditation, where you send goodwill first to yourself, then to loved ones, then to difficult people, etc. For someone in a toxic relationship, I'd suggest focusing on yourself and maybe neutral, loved people first. You need to build up kindness for yourself. If you can one day include the abuser in a compassionate thought like, "May they be well and far away from me," it might help cut the karmic tie, but it's not something to force until ready. Taoist Wu Wei, non-action in the face of provocation. In dealing with someone who baits you into fights, Taoism's advice of not reacting impulsively can be useful. Think of it as being like water, soft, but can't be grasped, flowing away from hostility. Practically, this might mean not engaging in every argument. You don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. If they sling insults to spark a reaction, you can practice calm detachment. Maybe respond with, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or nothing at all. Then walk away if safe. This denies them the emotional fireworks they seek and preserves your peace. It's not always possible if they escalate, but choosing when to engage is powerful. Taoism also often says, when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Sometimes you've tried everything to fix things. Maybe now not trying, i.e., stepping back, not resisting the natural course of this unraveling relationship, is what will actually allow resolution, even if resolution means it ends. Nature and healing. If possible, spend time in nature as you go through this. Taoism finds great solace in nature's harmony. A quiet walk, observing the trees and birds, can restore a sense of perspective and calm that counteracts the chaos at home. It reminds you the world is bigger than this abuse, and there is beauty and serenity still out there. Now let's shift to practical steps and support. Philosophy and inner resilience are vital, but so are concrete actions like setting boundaries, getting help, and making a plan. Taking back control. Boundaries and support. Setting boundaries. Boundaries are limits you set about what behavior you will accept and how you expect to be treated. In a toxic relationship, your boundaries have likely been ignored or trampled. Setting or re-establishing them is key to protecting yourself. However, be aware. Toxic individuals often resist boundaries. They may test or violate them. So, boundaries in this context often serve two purposes: to assert your self-respect and possibly to give the abuser a chance to change if they have any willingness, and equally importantly, to gather information on whether they will respect you, and if not, that informs your decision about the relationship. Examples of boundaries. Do not call me derogatory names. If you continue to do so, I will leave the room, or hang up the phone, or ask you to leave. It is not acceptable to yell at me or threaten me. If it happens, I will involve a third party, like calling a friend over, or ultimately the authorities if it's a threat. I need my own private time, space, from 8 to 9 p.m. I will be in the bedroom doing my thing, and I'm not available for arguments or demands during that hour. We each manage our own phone and messages. I won't give you access to my private communications, and I expect the same trust in return. When stating a boundary, do so in a calm, firm manner, ideally at a relatively neutral time, not in the heat of a fight if possible. You can use I statements. I need to be spoken to with respect. I will not continue a conversation that involves shouting or insults. You don't need to over-explain or apologize for setting a reasonable boundary. Expect pushback. The person might get angry. Dismiss it. Oh, so now you have rules for me? How pathetic. Or momentarily agree and then break it later. Stand firm. The first time you enforce a boundary, like walking away when they start yelling, they might escalate to test you. Stay as calm as you can and follow through. If you said you'd leave the house if they start raging, do it, provided it's safe. Go for a drive or to a friend's. Important, if there is physical violence or you fear it, have a safety plan. Boundaries won't stop violence if the person chooses it. So your boundary might be, if you ever physically hurt me, I will call the police immediately. And if it happens, do so. I know that's frightening, but physical abuse often escalates. There are domestic violence hotlines that can help you create a safety plan, like hiding a set of keys, money, important documents, and a bag with clothes somewhere, and even a secret code word with a friend to call for help if needed. Seeking support. You do not have to and should not go through this alone. Reach out to someone you trust, a friend, a sibling, a counselor. Often abusers isolate their victims, so you might feel like you have no one or embarrassed to tell people. Maybe friends have pulled away, or you've been hiding the abuse. It can be very hard to break the silence, but most survivors say that telling someone was a turning point. You could start by sharing a small piece. Things at home have been really rough. Name often screams at me, and I'm not sure what to do. Gauge their reaction. Good friends will be concerned and supportive, even if they're surprised, because you hid it well. Sometimes friends or family suspect something's off, but don't want to pry. Opening up gives them permission to help. Professional support. Consider speaking to a therapist, especially one experienced in abuse or trauma. They provide a safe, confidential space to process emotions and plan. If therapy is costly, there are often hotlines, like National Domestic Violence Hotline in the US, which also chat online if you can't call, and support groups, some free, some sliding scale. Even an online forum, like subreddits for abuse victims or other communities, can give you validation and practical tips. Plan for emergencies. If you are in immediate danger at times, think through a plan, e.g., keep your phone charged and on you. If an incident is escalating, can you excuse yourself to the bathroom, where maybe you stashed a phone, if they normally take your phone, and call 911 or a trusted friend? If you have kids, teach them how to call 911 or have a code word that means run to neighbor. It's awful to consider, but having a plan can save lives and reduces some anxiety because you know what to do if it hits the fan. Consider an exit strategy. If the person shows no genuine improvement and is consistently abusive, you may come to the decision that the relationship cannot be saved. That's a deeply personal choice. Safety and well-being should be top priorities in making it. Practical considerations like finances, housing, and children matter. Start discreetly preparing. Squirrel away a little money if you can. Open a separate bank account if possible, or give cash to a friend to hold. Get copies of important documents, IDs, passports, birth certificates, financial records, and store them somewhere safe, not in the house, or digitally with a secure password your abuser doesn't know. If renting, maybe quietly research options for housing, or see if you can stay with someone temporarily. If married, perhaps consult a lawyer quietly to know your rights, especially about children and assets. Many offer free consultations. Pack a go bag and leave it maybe at a friend's or somewhere the abuser won't find it, with a change of clothes, some cash, spare keys, essential meds, etc. Contact a local domestic violence organization. They often can help with shelter, legal advocacy, counseling, and even practical things like changing your phone number or getting a protection order if needed. You don't have to use the exit plan until you're ready, but having it empowers you. You start to see that you do have options, which the abuser wants you to forget. Rebuilding self-esteem. While still in or after leaving the toxic relationship, it's crucial to rebuild your sense of self that was torn down. Affirmations might seem cheesy, but they can help rewire your brain. Tell yourself daily something positive. I am worthy of love and respect. I am strong and getting stronger. List qualities you like about yourself or things you've accomplished despite the abuse. Even small things like, I kept my kindness, or I protected my kids as best as I could. Engage in activities that make you feel good or competent. Maybe hobbies you were discouraged from. Did they stop you from painting, seeing friends, going to gym? Reclaim those slowly. Each time you do something that they tried to squash, you prove to yourself that you are still you and capable. Setting small goals and achieving them also restores confidence. E.g., today I will go for a 10-minute walk, or I'll call that old friend this week. Each checkmark is a win that counters the narrative that you're incapable or dependent on the abuser. Protecting yourself emotionally. Post-relationship. If you leave, prepare for potential attempts from the abuser to draw you back. This is often called hoovering, like a vacuum. They may suddenly apologize profusely, promise change, or conversely, they might rage and threaten more to scare you back. Having support and reminders of why you left, maybe keep a journal of incidents to read when nostalgia or doubt hits, is key. Often, abusers do not truly change without extensive therapy and self-work, which many never commit to. Words are cheap. Consistent, respectful behavior over a long period is the only proof of change, and you are not obligated to stick around for the experiment at the expense of your sanity or safety. Handling co-parenting or ongoing contact. If you share children or must remain in some contact, e.g., business, or you just left and need to coordinate moving out, implement gray rock technique. Be as emotionally unresponsive as a gray rock. They thrive on emotional reactions. Don't give them fuel. Keep communication minimal, factual, and boring. If they hurl insults via text, don't engage with the content. Maybe don't respond at all. Or say something neutral like, I'll pick up the kids at 5 as planned. Over time, if you don't feed their need for drama, many will eventually back off, though some might try harder first. For co-parenting, it can be tricky. Try to use written communication, text, email for records, and consider a third-party drop-off, like a family member, if seeing them is too volatile. Some jurisdictions have supervised visitation or drop-off centers if abuse was an issue. a counselor or support group for co-parenting with a narcissistic abusive ex can be very useful. Throughout all this, keep reminding yourself, you are not alone and help is available. Abuse thrives in secrecy. Flip on the light by involving others. Moving forward, healing and growth. Leaving or setting firmer boundaries in a toxic relationship is both liberating and challenging. After the acute phase, you might feel a mix of relief, grief. Yes, grief, even if it was bad. You're mourning the good parts or the hopes you had. And perhaps trauma symptoms like anxiety, depression, or PTSD. Healing takes time. Be patient and gentle with yourself. Some days you may feel strong and cheerful. Other days you might break down. That's normal. Therapy or support groups. I've mentioned these before, but in the aftermath, they're invaluable. Trauma-focused therapy, like EMDR or somatic experiencing, can help process the deep wounds. Support groups, in person or online, allow you to connect with others who truly get it. Hearing "me too" from someone who's been there is incredibly validating. Education. It might help to learn about abuse patterns, e.g., reading about narcissistic personality or borderline or whatever fits your situation. Not to diagnose your abuser per se, but to understand common tactics and realize, it's not just me. These behaviors are textbook. It affirms that you were in something real and defined, not a vague personal failure. It can also prevent future entanglements because you'll recognize red flags early. Many survivors do end up spotting narcissists a mile away later and steering clear. Rebuilding trust in relationships. You might swear never again to any relationship, or maybe you worry all relationships are like this. They aren't. There are healthy, kind people out there. Take your time, but try not to let the abuser have the final say on your capacity to love and be loved. When you're ready, dipping your toe back into friendship and eventually dating can be healing as you experience normal interactions, not based on control. You might want to start with strengthening platonic relationships first, restoring your network of support. Self-identity. Many in long abusive relationships lose sense of who they are, likes, dislikes, etc., because they were constantly told what to be or not allowed to be themselves. Rediscover yourself. Try new or old activities. See what you enjoy without someone's influence. You may even keep a journal where you explore, who am I? What do I value? What do I want in life? Basically recalibrating your identity and goals. It's actually an exciting phase, albeit scary, to realize you can shape your future however you want now. Affirm safety. After long-term abuse, the body and mind are on high alert for a while. Create environments of safety for yourself. That could be as simple as making your home space truly yours. Decorate how you like, have cozy blankets, perhaps get a pet. Pets can provide enormous emotional support and a sense of unconditional love. Practice relaxation techniques, deep breathing, gentle yoga, or even martial arts to feel physically empowered. Over time, your nervous system will learn that the threat is gone and begin to relax its constant guard. Celebrate freedom. It might sound small, but celebrate the little wins of being free. Maybe it's the first time you hung out with friends and didn't have to worry about being punished for it, or you cut your hair a certain way just because you like it. Maybe your toxic partner would not allow it. Or simply, the quiet in your home that once was filled with fights. Savor those moments. Write them down or take mental snapshots. These are the affirmations that life is better outside of that toxicity. Forgive yourself. You might have internal conflict. Why did I stay so long? Why did I tolerate that? I feel so stupid. Please release that. You did what you had to do to survive at the time. You left or changed things when you were ready and able. It often takes multiple tries to leave an abuser instead of regret. Focus on pride. You eventually stood up and reclaimed your life. That's huge. And even those who haven't left yet, the fact you're educating yourself now means you're on that path. Self-forgiveness might also involve recognizing why you stayed. Often it's because you loved the person, or had hope, or feared something worse. Those are human reasons. Now you've grown and have more clarity. Life is about learning, not being perfect from the start. Looking to the future. With the toxic fog clearing, you can start envisioning a positive future. Maybe you'll pursue a career goal that was on hold, or create a peaceful home for your kids, or eventually attract a partner who treats you with respect. The future is yours to shape, without someone constantly undermining or controlling you. That realization is empowering. Before we close, I want to note, not all toxic relationships have to end in no contact. In some cases, particularly certain family members, people manage a limited relationship with strong boundaries, like seeing them only at holidays or speaking once a month by phone, etc. If that's your route, boundaries and emotional detachment techniques are your best friend. You can love someone and accept they are who they are, but interact on your terms. There's a saying, you can't change people, but you can change the distance between you and them. Distance can be emotional or physical. Find the distance at which the relationship stops hurting you, and maintain that. In wrapping up this episode, you are strong. The fact you endured this and are seeking to heal shows immense strength. You deserve peace and respect. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. Help is out there. From friends, professionals, or fellow survivors, reach out and you'll find compassionate hands ready to lift you up. Stoic wisdom gave you inner armor. Buddhist compassion gave you tools to let go of negativity. And practical steps are your roadmap to safety and recovery. Combine them as needed. Some days you might lean on one more than another. If you ever feel doubt creeping in, maybe it was my fault. Maybe I should go back. Maybe I can't make it alone. Revisit this episode or other resources. Remind yourself of why you set on this path to begin with. One day, you will look back from a place of much greater happiness and stability, and you'll be so glad you stood up for yourself. This dark chapter will just be part of your story, one that perhaps made you even more compassionate, wise, and resilient, though you shouldn't have had to gain it that way. My heartfelt message to you: you are not what was done to you. You are not the names you were called. You are worthy, brave, and capable. Take it day by day and know that brighter days are ahead. Thank you for listening. I'm sending you strength, love, and the firm belief that you can create a life that nurtures your soul instead of wounds it. Stay safe and take care.